lost a lot of popularity, and I'm not advocating religious organizations necessarily. But I think that, as they say in French, you throw the baby with the water or something like that. When you empty the bath, I think we lost something by sometimes rejecting religion. And religion was supposed to, the word religion is beautiful. You know, all know the meaning of religion? Reliare, it's a Latin word, it means connecting. Reliare is like a relink, reconnect, create a link. It's the same root as yoga, really. Yoga and religion have the same root. It means the same thing, connect. And what we practice in meditation or in Raj Yoga is that connection with the part of me which is really divine, which is sacred. And the beauty of that sacredness is not that it's religious. I don't associate sacredness with religion, although religion has taken ownership. But today we see sacredness in First Nation people in Canada. It's in nature. That connection with nature is very much connected with the sacredness, the respect. Mother Nature, that's how they call it, Mother Nature. They pray to nature, you know, so that nature is almost like a living energy that they want to honor and respect. So the sacredness is more about connecting with the divinity of the self, which is what? Which is just that purity of the self, which is again cleanliness, the self without vices, defects, and weaknesses. But we forgot how we look like. You know, imagine that you are working in, sometimes I bring more and more my car lately to the mechanics, and they're impressive, these guys, you know. I'm very fussy about it. I'm really like an office person. If you see my hands, you can tell I'm not, I mean, my hammer, I forget where it is most of the time. I forgot where I put my hammer. I'm not a very, you know, banging in the wall guy. So my hands are pretty delicate, and I cut myself with little paper and very delicate. And when I go to the mechanic and they say hello, and I look at the hands, my goodness, where did you put your hand into? I'm very thankful they put their hands where they put them and fix my engine. That's very nice. But they, you know, they don't wear white. I don't remember seeing my mechanic wearing white, right? So they're pretty heavy, greasy looking. And imagine that you work as a mechanic for years and you totally forget to wash yourself. And then you forgot, really, how it is to be without a single little oil on your body. Imagine. And we say the soul has forgotten how it looks like when it's free from vices and negativity. The best analogy I found is sometimes when you're sick, and it doesn't take much to feel bad, right? Cough, cold, flu, that's enough. You already feel so miserable, and you know, it doesn't take a big thing to look a little bit miserable. But when the cough and the cold goes away, do you all remember the feeling of, oh, so nice? It was just a cold. But when it goes away, you start to appreciate what you were actually a week before. But you forgot how good it is to sleep well, to feel okay in the morning when you wake up and not like all stuffy in there. So the soul has forgotten how it is to be a little bit more divine. I can only share my experience in Raj Yoga. I was in my 20s. And today I look at some of my abilities in life to appreciate people, to navigate through problems and situations that could be quite stressful. Yeah, I mean, I'm not always peaceful, but I see the strength growing. And I see how it feels when negativity is around you, but you don't feel negative. And to be honest, when you see negativity around and you know that you are moving through properly, peacefully, you feel so much strength and so much pride, pure pride, you know, to say, hey, I didn't lose it. And I know a few years ago I would have lost it quickly, but today I can say sometimes, oh, I didn't lose it. I stayed calm, I stayed positive, I still like the person, even though discussion was a bit strange, I don't feel negativity, and I still have good wishes for the person. Imagine how you feel when you move through life in a more positive way. And we forgot that. And we find it normal to stress for a little thing, to be anxious for a little thing, to be negative for a little thing. Somebody didn't do what they said they will do. Oh, it made me upset. Why it made me upset? It shouldn't be. They could still make a mistake. I don't have to become upset. But we say, you made me upset. You upset me. No. I had a weakness. I had a defect. I had a vice. That made me upset. Not the other person. And if I don't have a defect or weakness or a vice, I would not be upset. I would be detached. I would be very cool. I would be peaceful. I would be comprehensive. I would be merciful. I would be compassionate. I would be patient. I will have all these attributes. So what was wrong was the dirt on the soul. And that is really the problem, not what happens. Because what happens, happens. It's not that I make it happen. If there's somebody who comes and break in my house and steal something, what can you do? Then, yeah, you can complain to the police and you have to do this. But is it really a good idea to become depressed, angry, and sad and go crazy for 2 weeks because of that? It won't change anything to what happened. And I'm not saying we should be indifferent or naive or careless. These are weaknesses, by the way. So I'm not going to go into these either. But I'm going to be detached. I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to be determined. I'm going to be lawful. I'm going to be loveful. All these qualities will be there. So that's what we want to achieve. And those qualities of the soul, when they start to shine, to me they are connected with the sacredness of the soul. And the meditation is beautiful when we reconnect with that divinity. When you connect with a state, and I don't know what you felt in the beginning with that simple thought of peace. But how many times in life do you like it when you're really peaceless and you come home and then you realize, oh, finally it feels so good. Don't? You know that feeling, right? Anyone falls asleep in their bath when they take a hot bath and just relax, and maybe you don't put the right things in your bathtub, right? Bubbles, and you don't do that anymore? No? Anybody? No more. See, another big religion we missed. Taking a deep bath with bubbles and music and candles. No more of that? Oh, missing something. I went to a place on a holiday, and the specialty was to dress up your bathroom in the evening with candle lights and rose petals everywhere, and make you a bath, you know. I thought, this is silly. I'm not going to do that. Just indulge once. You see how wonderful it is. It's like a spa, you know, when you go to a spa. Anyone goes to a spa? That's very nice. You go and relax, and, you know, you allow yourself to be, pampered, you know, for one day, and getting massage. And you used to feel it was a little bit, you know, weak, like big guys don't do that. Now, last time you go to a spa, you'll see bodybuilders, and okay, you go there too? Okay, that's fine then. Well, let's go. And it's nice to be just relaxing like that. So, spiritually speaking, it's the same thing. It's when we can give the soul a break and allow the soul to connect with some kind of unfrequented territory. You know, divinity is not a place we connect with naturally all the time. Only those who are becoming more spiritual make time to do it. I visited a friend in New York the other weekend, and he convinced people at his work office, at his workplace, to have every second week a meditation session. And it's a very big company with stressful people and, you know, competition and everything you want, you know, like multinational companies. And CEOs, executive, and regular staff, they come every second Monday and they just relax in the office. I mean, that 20 years ago would have been a little bit spaced, you know, like you don't do that in a corporate office, having meditation class, no. And I can always tell that story. That was quite funny when I was at CBC in Edmonton long time ago. And I've always been a little bit shy of talking about meditation at my workplace. I'm always scared that they will accuse me of comment the proselytism, preaching. You know, I was always scared that they will, particularly like 25 years ago, I would be labeled very quickly as weirdo, you know, like he's weird, he's vegetarian, meditate, I don't know. And so I would always be quite discreet about it. But people will get to know sometimes, and they will ask me how I'm so quiet and peaceful. And so one day we had a director at the time at the company. She was a tough lady, you know, she was a very scary lady actually. I'm exaggerating a bit. She was nice, but she was a bit, you know, big bang bang, and very administrative and intense a little bit. I liked her. So one day I'm called by someone, says, the big director would like to see you in her office. That was the first time in my life I was called in the office of a director. I thought, oh wow. And I immediately thought, of course, I must have done something wrong. Maybe there's something that somebody said, I don't know. So I was really kind of anxious, to be honest, thinking, what is this? You know, like, why does she want to see me? So anyway, I went in her office and it was business. Eric, yeah, okay, sit down. Yeah, okay. She was a bit, you know, rough, nice lady, but rough. So I sat down and she said, I heard you're teaching meditation. I said, that's it. Okay, I've been denounced. I'm losing my job, and she's going to tell me no religion here and don't talk about this. I said, well, yeah, I mean, I teach. Why you didn't tell me before? I says, I don't know. Why would I tell you before? Well, you could teach it here. Don't you see? We're all stressed. Everybody needs meditation. And, excuse me, what are you talking about now? Yeah. So she was scolding me for not telling her beforehand that we could have meditation at work. And I thought, it's just that we're all a bit busy. I don't know. I would have never thought proposing a meditation session at work. She says, look, everybody's so stressed out. It would be so good. We should organize it. And at lunchtime, we can have meditation session. And I was really shy. I thought, this is the best joke I heard in a long time. You know, like suddenly they want actually the meditation. And I swear, I don't make it up. We had for quite a while, I can't remember the frequency, maybe once a week, I think. The same thing. We had meditation session and the one of the boardroom for lunch hour. People would bring their lunch. I'll bring my, at the time it was a tape recorder. Sorry to tell you my age. There was cassettes, you know. And I would play a tape, and then we'll have meditation, and I would share a few things for lunch hour. And I remember one day that lady being a little bit late, and she came, you know, like completely, you know, stressed out. And she came in the, we're already sitting and chatting, and she came and literally she put her legs on the table and she says, Eric, shoot, I have only 2 minutes, you know, let's go. I said, wait, this is not a pill, you know, it's not like I'm going to inject you with, but she was so stressed out. She said, I don't have time, but just give me 2 minutes, you know, let's do something, you know. She was really stressed. I'm not making up, it's really what happened. I'm a bit scared now that it will be on YouTube if she listened to it. But it happened like that. And it was very funny. And then one day I was in the elevator, and suddenly there was the counterpart of that director on the English side. CBC, Radio Canada worked together. So the guy at CBC told me in the elevator, I heard you're teaching meditation with the French group. Are we going to have a session in English as well? And I thought, gosh, not going to let me go here. But I was leaving that city at the time, so I had to move to another job, and never did it in English. But just to share that, I was very surprised that people wanted it. You know, I thought I should be shy and not share it, but actually they wanted it. So when I met this person also who was doing it in New York, I thought that was really a sign of the times. You know, we need those things. But what people really want, I think more than anything else, is to reconnect with that divinity, that purity within. And we're shy to talk about it, to say to big CEOs and people who think of themselves to be very important, talk about love, talk about peace, talk about purity. And now I find that let's just talk about it, and people react very, very positively. So moving from the experience of being a soul to connecting to what is the nature of the soul, and to start to appreciate that within me, I have that connection is possible. I have to reconnect with a part of me which is, yes, very tender, very kind, very peaceful, very sacred. It's not professional, it's not competitive, it's not corporate, it's not about did you see me, how good I am. No, it's me in my little sanctuary, connecting with nature, connecting with life, connecting with my eternity, connecting with love. And it's intimate. When do you talk about love with other people? Only with good friends. You can address those kind of issues. So that territory is really what I would propose as the second aspect of cleaning the soul. And what we're looking at really is, I am a soul. I, the soul, can become pure. I can become, I would say, back to my original state. And today it's easy to talk about it because you look at a grocery store and look what the names you see now on the labels, on the packaging of the food, more and more. No this, no that. It's almost translated means no weakness, no defects, no vices, original, pure, organic, natural, isn't it? You have whole departments now, more and more, in big areas where they just show natural food or organic food, and so it's getting there. We realize that we want to eat good food that is more and more natural, and we realize that the years of going crazy about the apple bigger and red and perfectly round and shining, maybe we went a bit wrong in genetically modifying the food and this pesticide to have the corn bigger and more yellow, and we realized we really messed up a little bit, the whole thing. And now we're going backwards, saying no, actually small farms, agricultural based on natural products might be better. So maybe spiritually it's the same thing, and we want to have thoughts with no anger. Oh, wonderful. Organic thoughts. Let's try organic thinking, no added negativity, nothing unnatural. And the real nature is not to be angry. That's genetically modified. By thinking I'm this person doing this, and this is my job, and this is my this, we became locked into so many unreal identities, because really technically your mom is not really your mom. I mean, sorry to tell that to your moms. Yes, she's playing that role, we are that, but the moment we die, who are you? Are you going to remain that mom's daughter all your life? I mean, all your afterlife? Maybe not. It's just temporary. It's an identity today. We come on earth, we play roles, and we call it my boss. Yeah. Now change your mind and think, this is a soul. This is a soul. And stop thinking it's my boss. That soul is playing a role in the drama, and it's playing the role of my boss. Okay. It's just playing a role. And if we change the way we think of people, or we think about people, and change the way we think about ourselves, maybe feelings will be different. And instead of thinking this is my boss, then I feel I'm an employee. But if you think this is a soul, you feel I'm a soul, and we are equals, we're connected. So it changes the whole thing. And then we realize that it's possible to handle differences of personalities, differences of attitudes, unwanted situations, without necessarily losing my peace, losing my love, losing my dignity. And suddenly it's possible to go through situations, good or bad, pleasant or not, successful or not, but hold on to my own divinity. And what we, I think, aspire to achieve in meditation and spirituality is to regain that dignity which allows me not to lose it in front of situations. Isn't it? Can you... A very simple exercise. Think of a situation just recently where it didn't go too well. You said something wrong, you got stressed, you panicked, or you got really negative or angry. Just imagine. Try to remember. Is there any situation like this in the last few years? Yeah? Trying to find one, you know. Nothing. Trying to catch one situation. I'm an idiot one. And try to imagine the same situation as you, like it's you are the writer of the script of your life, and you say, I'm going to rewrite this whole scene. That scene wasn't good. Because he said that, I got really upset, and I got so mad for 3 days. I'm going to rewrite that whole scene. Okay, he comes in a room, says the same thing. Now, how would I rewrite a script in which I don't get upset? So what do I think if I'm not upset? I must think something quite deep, probably spiritual, and very dignifying. Because as a result, he goes wrong, but I don't go wrong. And that person may express anger and negativity, but I don't react with negativity. How would you feel about yourself in that situation? Normally, you would feel much better. And you don't lose your temper, you don't lose your dignity, you don't say anything wrong. Now, if you find that scene in the drama to be boring, you might have to rewrite it again, you know, because it shouldn't be boring. Because sometimes people think that spiritual people are very boring, you know, they don't get upset, they're always sweet, always nice, so boring. Believe me, it's not boring. Peace is not boring. You know, it's not boring, is it? Peace is very powerful. Love is very powerful. Happiness is very beautiful. So it's not boring. And the question, we had another session Wednesday, and the thought was, do I believe in happiness? And I thought it was a strange formula, do I believe in happiness? But the question was really, do I believe I can remain happy? And that's the question we need to ask ourselves. Do I believe I can remain happy? And do I believe I can actually be way more happy than I am today? Do I want it? And you can only want it if you visualize what it looks like. You know, it's like some people say, are you hungry? No, I'm not. That's not. You don't want to eat? No. Okay, bring a beautiful piece of chocolate cake in front of them. 1 minute ago they said, no, I'm not hungry, I'm fine. But if they start smelling it, seeing it, okay, let me have a piece. Isn't it? It comes like that. You know, sometimes I have enough shoes for the next 3-4 years, I think. But I can't go in front of a front window of a store and I see shoes and I say, oh, these are really nice, you know. I don't really need it, but I want it because I saw it. So dignity, purity, divinity, same thing. I have to see it. If I see it, I find we start to want it. And my personal experience is that whenever I go through something really nice, where I'm feeling happy that, wow, that relationship could have gone really wrong, but it didn't. And I appreciate that person more. I respect that person more. I hold on to that experience and I said, this is what I want to go through. This is what I want in my life. When I'm peaceful at work, I know this is how I want to be because I like it. And even if there are meetings and stuff which are a little bit stressful, if I remain peaceful and say, this is how I want to look like, you know, more and more. And what about you? Is it how you feel? Do you like to be angry? No? We should film ourselves when we're angry, really. And just project it on a big screen, IMAX theater, and say, do I really like myself like that? Most of us wouldn't like ourselves like that. Sometimes I see people on the street arguing with each other, and honestly, I'm so not used to it anymore that I find, why human beings do that? Recently I was honestly thinking, do you think that the majority of people in North Korea hate Americans? I don't think so. I think most people on Earth really actually would be quite happy with everyone. Doesn't matter their religion, their nationalities. So who is creating all these crazy conflicts? Just a few people. Because the majority of people really either don't care or would love. I was going to go in French, but I lived in Western Canada for many years. And, I really felt when I saw Quebecers coming to the West, I was working in the news, and I was very conscious sometimes that, hey, we're really producing wrong thoughts in the news. We're making this big thing about Constitution and Quebec and this. But bring Quebecers in the Rockies, there's no politics. I mean, they love Canadian. Everybody gets along very well. There's no problem. And I was thinking very often as a news reporter, are we not creating those problems by enlarging them like way bigger? That 20 people in some little office that are talking about big things, we make it a news, and we're scaring the whole population. And I thought, this is weird. I mean, I'm not sure I'm in the right business, but that is my job. And I'm exaggerating. I mean, I know it's important to the news, but my point is, the nature of the people is good. We want to have good relationships. I'm sure an American can fall in love with a North Korean person. That would be totally possible. What's wrong with that? Who is creating conflict? What are we creating? Why are we creating those inner wars in our heads? So I prefer to believe that the soul, the nature of the soul is good. It's peaceful, it's loving, it's happy, and it's pure. And if we can reconnect with that, that's the divinity, the sacredness of the soul. And this is the effort, I think, to clean the soul, to just sit in silence and experience that dignity, that divinity, and say, okay, how do I feel? And my personal experience is that we always feel so much stronger when we pay attention to that. And then we express it with other people. Then we can forgive. Then we can be merciful. Then we can be confident. We don't need to worry. Then we're, positive in what we do. Otherwise, we're just going to be swallowed and jailed by those things. Does it make sense, or am I going to give you a bad week again? Any thought, any question you have, or you want to react, or?
Just wondering, you could go for a long period of time where you're very positive and, you're zen and all that, and then all of a sudden, something will trigger, and it's like setting you back.
So for those who don't hear, the question online is, it can be a long time peaceful and zen, but something triggers at some point, and whoops, back to...
you feel like you've obtained it, and then you say, oh my God.
In spirituality, we talk about karmic accounts. I talked briefly, I think, about it last week, but the soul carries scars, imprints of things that happened a long time ago. And those scars, those marks, are taking a long time to go. So sometimes what happens is that they just soar. They just come up, and then they create that, you can have a knee problem, and you don't feel it until one day you take one step a little bit wrong, and you say, oh, my knee. It didn't hurt before, but suddenly it hurts. It's a weakness in the knee that makes you feel that. So we believe the soul has recorded in its whole history situations that caused pain. Either that we felt the pain or we caused it as well. So it's why we call it a karmic account. It comes from karma, account of actions and reaction. Whatever has been done has to create a reaction, and it's recorded within the soul. So we don't believe in a God having a book, with your name and a certain amount written next to it and gives you a pass to heaven or not. We don't believe in that. But I believe that the book is in me. I hold my own record, and everything that I have done has left an imprint in me, the soul. And sometimes those things from the past, they come up, and we have to settle them. And so when those things come up, that's the time we need to come with our tools that we talked about last week, like all these patience, tolerance, respect, confidence. That's when we need them. So we don't allow that negativity to make us do more negative. That's where anxiety also is a vice, is that if I go into it as a negativity and I use that to justify more negativity, instead of settling my account, I just multiply it. And that's where we need to be strong spiritually. So if I have a moment of sorrow, of weakness, of pain, of negativity or reaction, instead of giving it power, that's the time we need to say, okay, I'm settling it. This is coming to me to settle it. It's a bill that comes. Okay, let's settle it this time. Let's not return it to the sender, or let's not ignore it, or let's not go into court saying, I don't deserve this. No, a bill comes to me. Okay, I'm going to settle it. So that's called karmic account. It's a deep thing, but I invite you to try it. You know, before my attitude when I used to get a speeding ticket was, how can I contest it and find a flaw in it? And, you know, today I say, okay, Eric, you speed. I mean, it doesn't happen anymore, but mine. I used to have a lot of those. I'm more careful, but lately I had honestly, I didn't see a strange area, never been there before. There was a stop sign. I never saw it. Honestly, I never saw the stop sign. And it was kind of a little bretelle, you know, and an exit, and then you go straight into a lane. So I thought, all right, we just go. And because it's new, you look around. I was GPS telling me, turn left, turn right. And then the police said, he stopped me, and I was really like, hi, you know, how are you today? It was good. And I thought, what did I do? You know, I don't know. And he said, what was after this little exit? I said, I don't know. It was you. It was you. It was you there. I know you were. And I don't be too funny with policemen. They don't like it. I said, you just went through a stop. I said, really? Me? I did? No, never do that. And so, okay, get you to, and I was very nice, and I said, really, there was a stop. Gosh, this is scary. I went through a stop. So it showed to me, and then I went back actually to see the stop, thinking, am I getting a little bit crazy on the drive? So, and then I had a ticket, and I thought, well, let's just settle it. You know, you don't like it, but just pay it right away. Done with it. So sometimes things come to us, just settle it. Don't argue, just so. And we settle it with that intellect has to rub and rub and rub and clean.
Sometimes it's flirting at the justice and showing them, look, you can't see that.
Yeah.
It's in the trees and
Yeah, I try that.
No, but if you
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I try that with peace and love and respect.
they don't correct it, I mean, everybody's going to get it.
Yeah, no. I told him, because I said, if you stand there, it's because probably many people do like me. And he said, yeah, many people just go right through. I said, well, maybe nobody sees the stop. And he says, we think many don't see it, and many see it, but they just don't really stop. And so, but I went back. I told him, I want to see it to make sure why I'm missing. So I just went around the corner, and actually he said, follow me. So I followed the cop, because he had to go back to his spot. So I followed the cop. And I saw there was not one stop, there were two stops. That's two big signs. So this argument, there was a tree and this, I said, no, really, I really just All right, so let's have a little practice of this. And so we'll try that as an experiment for cleanliness, right? It's just to clean. We're just pulling out the gloves and cleaning the soul. That's what we are focusing on. So I go back into a state of silence, listening to my mind and creating peaceful thoughts. I can keep my eyes open and I just relax, appreciating the moment, thinking that I'm in a safe place, a quiet place, and that I'm taking time for myself to regain inner strength. And I don't mind whatever goes around me. I appreciate my ability to concentrate, just to direct my thoughts. And I make my mind sit quietly. Because I want to experience again a very deep sense of peace within myself. And I want to feel that peace is when I'm not in war or at war with myself or with others or with situations. I'm just very quiet, peaceful. And I realize that if I don't look at peace on a regular basis, I forget how sacred, how pure that peace can be. And it's a peace that I can find sometimes in nature, when nature shows its beauty, its greatness. It's a peace that I feel that when I look at life itself, just the greatness of life, the wonder of being alive here on earth. Every day is just like a gift. I take it for granted, but life itself is so sacred. And sometimes I allow myself to go into the turmoil of the day, running and rushing. But really, when I look at that inner peace, I reconnect with an energy which is higher than me, bigger than me. I reconnect with the purity of the self, the purity of life, the purity of nature. And when I go into that silence, I know that I'm nurturing my inner peace, my ability to love, and my ability to remain happy, to enjoy every moment. So I think of myself as a soul, as a spiritual being, a conscious being, a being of light. And I know that it is I, the soul, that experience peace It is I, the soul, who thinks, feels, and as I think of myself as a soul, I invoke once again the energy of peace, the energy of love, and the energy of happiness to fill the soul. The soul, consciousness, or energy. I am energy. And as I fill myself with powerful peace, love and happiness, the energy of the soul becomes sacred again, becomes divine, pure. And I know that if I have that sparkle of life, and if my conscience is aware and alert, I can express that peace, that love and that happiness in the most simple ways. So I hold on to that experience of peace. And I make it my nature to be a being of peace. Okay, sounds like everyone is peaceful now. Good. Well, you're smiling. Peace. So I hope you enjoy. Next week we're going to see another aspect which is quite fascinating, which is once we are soul, we connect with some higher energy, divine, sacred. How do you keep it? And how do we maintain it whilst in the midst of situations and dramas and actions and 9-to-5 job and subways and all kind of things like that. Sounds good? So homework for this week is just an invitation, one, to continue the practice of thinking of the soul, just trying to use the word I am a soul as much as you can. Think of sometimes other people, particularly those who bother you. He's a soul, she's a soul, and that will help. And the second thing is try to connect the word soul with some kind of sacred energy, some kind of divine energy, just regaining that awareness that, hey, there's something powerful in the soul which is sacred, and see how it feels, the connection. So then we'll move to the next step next Friday.